Hey, welcome back. This is OnFire Show. This is here with Daryl McKell Brooks, and we're here with Josiano.
Hello, Daryl.
And we got
world.
All right.
Bill Argus over here.
Bill Argus.
And Neil Schloss.
Neil Schloss. And where is PJ at? PJ is not here yet, and he's on his way. I didn't hear from.
I don't think he's making it tonight.
Why? Did you talk to him?
He texted me just half hour ago.
Okay.
So he said he won't be in tonight.
Oh wow.
I don't know if he's not feeling well.
PJ chair.
That's why I moved over to PJ's spot. So.
Oh, all right. Well, if everything is all right, I hope he's feeling better, and I'll talk to him later on, send him a text, say how he's doing. But today is a great day. It's Tuesday. It's another Tuesday for OnFire Show, and I'd like to thank all the listeners for listening last week. And we got a lot of topics we'll probably be talking about today, and we want everybody to go to our chat room. So go into hamiltonradio.net, and also you can give us a call at 609-800-1003. That's 609-800-1003. Now, if you've been listening to the show, we usually ask the questions about let everybody know how they've been doing, how was their weekend. And we're going to start off with my man Joe. And Joe, how was your weekend?
Well, Daryl, I was working hard this weekend.
Working hard.
As some of you guys know, I have joined the great ranks of the unemployed here in America.
Oh.
And I've spent a lot of time on working on starting up my own company, my own website, and soon I'll be making an announcement to the world of the great new services that we have from Media Jams.
Media Jams.
Media
Jams. What does jams? What is the jam? Because you use the word jam a lot.
I use the word jam. First of all, Jams are my initials, Joseph Anthony Michael Ciano.
Wow.
And then in Media Jams, it's all about creativity, creating and on the spot, and creating wonderful and beautiful solutions for the clients.
Oh, okay. All right. You've been working at it all weekend, huh?
Doing it all weekend until I get somebody to pay me. I mean, besides losing the job, the $500,000 signing bonus that Daryl gave me to be on the OnFire Show check bounced.
Don't you hate when that happens?
I know.
Me too. Yeah. I hate when I sign the checks and they bounce. I hate the IRS coming after me. And anything now? How about you? Hello, Bill.
Hello.
Bill, how about you, Bill? Anything happened this weekend?
No, nothing of epic nature. It's just a kind of a usual and customary. It was nice and quiet. Got some things done about the house, and that was kind of it.
Oh, okay. And Neil?
Well, this weekend was a Jewish holiday, actually. It was the Day of Atonement.
Yes.
So
did you fast?
I did fast, actually.
You're looking slimmer.
Thank you. So yeah, I'm in PJ's seat, so of course I look slimmer. So, and so the day was spent actually getting my chicken coop in place. Mm-hmm. I had built a chicken coop, finished it up, and got it weatherproofed, and it's ready for the new chickens. So I got some roosters and hens that are living in there now.
You look like you spent some time outside.
I feel like I'm outside all the time now. The weather has been so beautiful, guys.
No, it's been phenomenal.
I mean, it's amazing. Like, just I can't believe how good this weather has been in the northeast region of America.
Well, if there's anybody, I've heard forecasts all over the lot in terms of what we're expecting for this winter. I read the Farmer's Almanac. They're calling for below average temperatures and above average snowfall. You talk to somebody else, and they're saying, no, it's going to be a mild winter. And you talk to someone else,
No one can predict the future.
No.
Unless you're a magician.
Well, they just
you're a magician?
Oh, that's right. Yes. I am. Well, actually,
no, he made his hair disappear.
I actually own a magic store.
Magic shop.
And we do birthday parties for little kids. Mm-hmm. We do we do have magic tricks there that we sell.
Yeah.
And like I say, it's just a fun thing to do, but actually no one can predict the future. And that's definitively truth that needs to be understood.
Oh, wow.
So hopefully the winter's nice like what it's been this past summer, man.
I just say hope our winter matches our fall, thus far.
Oh, wow. It's going to definitely be a cold winter.
Well,
you can figure it's going to be cold in the winter, so there's hardly any news there.
Well, it's going to be cold earlier. I mean, it's going to be...
Hopefully not much snow.
Oh, yeah.
I got married in a snowstorm. I mean, a blizzard. The blizzard of 2003. December 6, 2003. It was it seems like a 32-inch snowstorm that came down, state of emergency in New Jersey. Mm-hmm. We thought no one was going to come to the wedding, and it turned out to be packed house and a fun time and just
snowball fight after the wedding.
No, but trust me, it was leading up to it was nerve-wracking because every time the phone rang, you weren't sure if they were calling to say I'm not coming or I'm coming.
Okay.
So a little rearrangement of the tables for a few people that couldn't make it, but it turned out to be an awesome event. But that was, I think, the last massive snowstorm that I can remember.
Wow. I got married in a heat wave. It was like 98 degrees that day, and we were during the wedding. They were doing the old the Buster Poindexter, hot, 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 and we were all doing the conga line through the thing. And all of a sudden, the fire alarm started going off in the place. And I thought it was a DJ effect,
on fire. You're on fire.
Yeah, we're on fire.
You're
yeah,
on fire.
This DJ's really got it together.
Yeah.
And actually, somebody lit a floral arrangement on fire, which caused the sprinkler system to go off in the ladies' room. And then the next thing you know, the firemen were trampling through the place in their boots and their raincoats and all that.
That's what happens when you overindulge in those adult beverages.
Wow. And for me, this weekend was, I actually stayed in the house from Friday night till Saturday, and
that's why the crime rate was down.
Definitely. Yes, definitely. I didn't try to shoot nobody today or rob drug dealers. But it was one of those days where I just stayed in the house, watched a lot of TV, watched a lot of Boardwalk Empire. I love that show on HBO Demand. Watch about 15 episodes.
Yeah.
And I really didn't do much. I think on Sunday I went out. I hung out, went to Camden and back and forth on the River Line, hung out and just chilled. I mean, it was one of those, and it was one of those weekends where it was like I just relaxed at home.
Nice. I actually started playing piano. Okay. I got a piano at home. And besides being outside with the chicken coops, taking care of that, I'm trying to teach myself how to play piano. Mm-hmm. So I'm kind of playing around with the chord structures. It's fun. It's like totally new thing to experience, and I kind of take it slow. Take it real slow.
Wow.
Because of course, if you take it slow to begin with, you can make it sound really melodic and nice.
Uh-huh.
So I'm hoping my playing improves by the next year. I'd like to just play out and play the piano. I mean, I've been playing drums all my life, so finally trying to add the melody in.
Oh, wow.
So.
Yeah, well, wow, this is great. And you got a chicken coop, and I need, it's fried chicken.
And he'll be doing multi-track recording, just like Prince. He'll be just layering all his instruments down. And
Yeah.
That's one of those things, playing the piano. I wish I would have learned. I played the drums in elementary and when I was in elementary, and my mother, she took the drums from me. And I was
Did she?
Oh, yeah, I woke up 6 o'clock, and I'll wake up 6 and start banging on the
Oh,
drums.
my mom yelled at me all the time about playing.
Yeah.
I played with my hands also. I was always tapping.
Play with your hands?
Tapping the table.
Tapping the table.
Yeah, and of course, I get yelled at. Stop tapping the table, So.
Oh, God, you didn't take up drums, that's right.
Wow.
That's why I play drums.
Oh, wow, and it's been one of those exciting weekends for everybody, and everybody starting new ventures, and it's definitely exciting. In the news in the past week or so, I mean, we had a lot of things that are happening from Ebola. I mean, wow, to it's the hearings and the hearings with the what's the group? The hearings, the protection of Obama.
The Secret Service.
Secret Service. And that's been all in the news. Ebola, it's been one of those news weekends. And it was just so much stuff that's happening around America.
It feels like it, right?
Yeah,
I mean, I
was afraid to go outside. That's one of the reasons why I stayed inside the house. Just the whole Ebola thing kind of scared me. I didn't want to be next to nobody. And
as long as you're not near a dead Liberian, I think you're pretty good.
No, and I was kind of sick. I think I had a stomach virus. And I just stayed. I just stayed in the house.
Right.
And I got a little nervous. I didn't want to be. I was thinking about, man, can you imagine? I just go out and say I have Ebola and I can make CNN. The OnFire news show can really be popular then.
Yeah.
and it would be a solo act.
Solo act. Well, I'm here at the Hamilton studio. I was around Josie. I will go get him and Neil and Bill. They come to your house.
That would not be good.
Quarantine everybody. Get out your house.
Yeah.
But it bothers me, and when you look what's happening about the Ebola crisis in Texas, and how real is this? And when you look at CNN, because CNN always have, that whole weekend they might have had breaking news at least 30 times. It's like breaking news. Something happens, and it bothers me. Is the Ebola crisis a real crisis right now in America?
I'm not one to believe that the crisis is going to be so big that the percent of humans, individuals in America, are going to be affected. Let's just say percentage-wise. We're not going to have a 25% Ebola outbreak where 25%, 1 in 4 people are going to have Ebola. If you do the statistics, I always say this, the statistics in all these fears are 0.0002%, 4%. It's a very, very low percent that these crises are portrayed as. And in the long run, my feeling is those are fears that are stemming from overabuse of these crises, which turns out to be a small percent in your life compared to the fun and joy of like this weather, this beauty of like your neighborhood.
Yeah.
Well, we're not really. We don't have an Ebola crisis here. West Africa has a crisis on their hands, mostly because their healthcare system, if you wouldn't even want to call it that, is they don't have the ability as we do here in North America to deal with the drugs or already have drugs on the ground here for people that in fact have contracted Ebola. And you have to come and be in contact with somebody who is symptomatic. In other words, they have the symptoms and are actively. You have to touch the bodily fluid of someone who's infected and is as symptomatic of the. So short of that, it's not something like if you're the influenza that can be transmitted, via the air. Someone sneezes and you touch a doorknob or what have you. Well, you could potentially do that with Ebola, but there are so few cases here. We can quarantine them. We can identify them. When we do have them, we kind of put a dragnet around them straight away. So there's really not going to be what I'm going to even consider anything close to a crisis here. What it is, however, for our media outlets is one heck of a story.
Oh, yeah. And when you look at, especially CNN, you would think, and the power of media.
Well, Fox News is not exactly playing this down.
But the question simply is, let's say there was something like that out there that's going to attack us or our bodies. What should humans do to prevent even having a chance, if it was to get in their body? What defensive methods should you do with your body to ensure that the virus won't take your body over?
Yeah.
In a medical sense, where like you get sick and you die. Because I think a lot of us don't realize that our body, if we run on a half tank of gas, and of course a virus hits us, then we only have a half a tank to work on to defeat the virus.
Now, unfortunately, with the Ebola virus, even if you get a full tank of gas, it's not going to be enough to warrant.
You sure?
Fend off this. Yeah.
I think our bodies naturally have an innate ability to fix itself, just naturally.
Well, that is true, but not against all comers. Our immune system is really a miracle in and of itself. How it fends off many different diseases.
But I don't think it's a miracle. I think science will definitely prove when we say it's a miracle, it's the unknown. But I think science is getting to the point where we truly understand.
In quotes, miracle, but it is let me substitute that word with a marvel. It's a marvel how the immune system does work in fending off various types of diseases. But if you contract Ebola, and if you don't have they've got a new vaccine now that they're using that they really just kind of trot it out rather quickly without going through the
Testing?
FDA, because it's something that can and will take your life if not treated.
You know what the thing is, that we're talking about the Ebola virus, but what PJ, when he was here, and would be saying right now, is this is something that we created. This is something that has a patent on it. Man made it. They put a patent on it.
Are you taking over PJ's role? No, PJ is the knowledgeable guy, man.
And it has something to do with the Fed, but I'm not sure exactly how that all worked out. But the thing is that it was created. And why would you create something like this except to kill people? And it's owned by the United States, the United States government. So it's our own bioterrorism weapon. And why is it rampant? If it's been created by man, why is it out there in West Africa? Who put it there?
Yeah, in one
Is
of the
that PJ?
no.
No, the boys are back. The South men are back.
One of the things is also our nutrition, how we eat, too, plays a role in catching viruses and that. Are we eating the right foods? And when you go to places like Africa, they don't have the different types of nutritional needs that keep the wipe off viruses.
Well, I've been studying under Dr. Glidden. Mm-hmm. I mean, just listening to webinars by him, and he just lays out the logic of medical health or nutritional health, because he's what's called a naturopathic doctor, an ND, not an MD. So his philosophy on this is that if you live in a specific region of the world, it's not going to have all the nutrients your body needs naturally. I mean, it's either because we've dug up those minerals and moved them somewhere else. So the land that we live on has only a small percentage of the nutrients that you need, and the remaining nutrients need to be taken through either the imported foods that you eat or nutritional supplements. And he goes on to talk about the how to improve your health.
Yeah.
So that, again, if an Ebola virus comes here, what should you be doing now to strengthen your body?
The immune system. You have a strong immune system. And I think that one of the things about America is that, a lot of us do eat the right types of foods. And we're always, we're
overfed but undernourished.
Yeah. And so, that's one of the things that we do have. If something ever were to break out, I would never leave my room. I would lock all the doors. Mom wouldn't come in the house. Mom wouldn't come in the room. Close the windows. Have a bunch of cigars.
I would go find it.
No, what?
I would actually head towards it.
Who wants bleeding eyes? Who wants to be thrown out?
Well, no.
A storm chaser.
Actually, there is a Vietnam vet who rents a parking spot for me in Hightstown, and he was the guy in the troop that would run towards the bullets as the bullets were flying towards him, to radio back the coordinates so that they could send the missiles in or the bombs in.
And you would want to be the guy that go out and chase the Ebola.
I wouldn't be afraid of it.
What are you going to do when you find it?
Yeah, what are you going to do when you find it?
Shake its hand, say hello. How you doing, man? What's going on? How do we work out a peaceful agreement for you to leave?
Stay over there. Stay over there. But and one of the things is that if you've been watching CNN or Fox News, that we have troops right now going over into West Africa, and they're building hospitals, bringing drugs, and one of the things that they're over there doing is making sure that West Africa and all those areas have a strong healthcare system or build a strong healthcare, and also to protect what's happening over there, and making sure that the viruses doesn't spread all over Africa, and which is happening now. And I think it's serious. And I was watching what Rand Paul was speaking. He said, "Why are we sending troops to protect the Ebola virus, and our troops are going to catch Ebola?"
Well, actually, they're not going to catch that. They're going to get. They're not really going to be where the patients are. They're going to be over there doing some building of some. I want to call it a hospital, but some medical facility where they can bring people in, and they will have the proper equipment. So if they do get near it, they're going to be properly protected. So they're not going to be the front line defenders, if you will, like the medical personnel over there. And if you can see them, they're in full suits. They're being sprayed down. They're walking in this various solutions so they don't take anything in or out of these quarantined areas. So the likelihood of them getting something is, as
Very
Neil
minimal.
said before, it's fractionally very small.
Right.
But I mean, can every problem in the world be solved by sending American troops to solve it?
You know,
It seems like that's what they think the answer is,
Let's
but I
send
think they
troops.
are wrong.
Well, I think I think one of what happens here and where we have a play in this for American troops. First of all, who else do you send? You send a bunch of engineers. You send an engineering company, a building. So we send our military over a small faction.
Private company.
Private
Military.
There
Private
is-
companies.
Private military?
Private
I'm all
military.
for private military.
Private military.
The play here is simply that if
we
we
need
don't
to police the
get our
world.
arms around that, we're going to have an outbreak that we don't really want here on North American soil. We've already got a very, very small taste of it. We've got certainly in Texas. There was another outbreak. I forget what other state. I think it's in a Midwest state, if I'm not mistaken. So they really want to make sure that we're not allowing people from that area that are testing that they've got a fever or been in contact with it. They're just not allowing them on planes, which I think is probably a good thing.
And how many people know that may have Ebola but don't know they have Ebola?
Well, that's part of the
Right.
problem. You could be have no symptom, get on a plane, get here 2 days after you've been here, become symptomatic, and be able to transfer. If you come in physical contact with somebody, transfer that virus.
Well-
Do you quarantine West Africa?
I mean, they'll try to do that, right? That's how
right.
America works. Just
Just block you off.
block
Just
you off.
Block you off.
Well,
Yeah,
there's no talk about that, and I think that's
Well,
not
I mean,
market. Just cut the free
But I
market
think
off.
if it's a crisis and you have people from West Africa coming over to America and just could have Ebola, and they just walk in the streets and anything could happen.
That's been reported in Spain.
Yes.
So.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Definitely. So.
How do you contain a virus?
Yeah. How do you contain a virus? We've seen those movies where it was the outbreak. And next thing you know, there's people that start dying, falling out in the middle of the street.
But that's again, let's compare apples to apples. I mean, that's Hollywood, and they've got to sell a storyline. And what Hollywood comes up with, and what is real world, are probably two different things. Not probably, but are two different things.
Oh, okay. And it's one of the things that we really have to look at is our own healthcare system and are the healthcare system ready for a crisis to happen? And you look what's happening with our healthcare system today.
Well, if you're talking about being in the healthcare field, I do know that we have plans for biological, biochemical, all those kinds of warfares, and just these outbreaks that can come.
We're not ready.
Well, based on what information?
I just government.
Right.
No. No.
Government stepping in again.
Government stepping in.
Right. And I'll say this to everyone listening. It's insurance they're selling you,
Yes.
not health care.
Yeah.
They're not selling you health care because the only ones that takes care of your health is yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So they want you to pay for an insurance policy, which actually is not going to make people healthier. So I think people need to wake up to that.
Oh yeah,
This government's trying to take over another area of your life.
Oh yeah, and we want to.
No two ways about that. I mean, I agree with on that, Neil. This is not the central government, as I like to refer to them as, should get the heck out of our private lives and stay within the Constitution, the framework of the Constitution, as written. They've got no right to be putting out a national health care plan. Open it up to the free markets. Open up and I'd be interested, Neil, in your opinion about this. I have said before the health care laws, I said, why don't we find a way, pass a law that we can open up the borders here, state to state. So if Neil, if you've got a company, if you found health care for your employees that was in Utah, that was a great plan at a good price, why can't we, get that? And if I find and say I need an individual plan and I found something in Texas, why can't I get that?
No.
Today we can't. If you open up to just competitive like everything else, when competition's in play, the prices come down. Free market.
Right. Prices will come down, but at the same time, as regards to insurance, it's a question of, again, should the federal government have any say in someone's health care?
No.
Should the federal
Not
government
at all.
have anything to
Zero.
say in what you choose to do with your life?
That should be between you and your
But
doctor.
But when you look at with the government health care and you look at who's behind this and the healthcare industry, it's all working intertwined, government and healthcare
sure.
industry. When you look at the healthcare bill,
Yeah,
who designed the healthcare bill?
I mean, I'm trying
Insurance
to.
companies.
Insurance companies.
I'm literally trying to get out of health insurance.
Yeah.
Like not even have health insurance for myself, except for catastrophic.
Yeah.
Meaning like if, God forbid, I had a bad accident, I need to get to the hospital.
You got Ebola.
No, I don't think I'm going to get Ebola. I think the worst thing that can happen is a car accident, plane crash, that I'm in such serious...
A plane crash?
I've been in one, actually.
Wow.
Yeah. I was in one in 2002. I was in Alaska. I was in the Arctic National Wildlife Refuge. It's called Anwar, and I was picked up by a small Piper plane.
Oh, you got a bush pilot.
Yeah, bush pilot. His name is Walt Audi. I mean, dude was incredible. He's like the legend of Alaska for bush pilots. If you ever go there and you ask any pilot there, do you know who Walt Audi is? Books are written about this guy because he's the only one up in the Anwar region that picks you up and drops you off.
Crashed.
No. So he took off, and he inspected the plane before takeoff. Takes off, and he knows something's wrong because, of course, you hear the alarm that says you're in stall mode, and of course it's normal to hear it for a second or so, but it kept going, and he realized something was wrong with the wing, and he jams the stick forward, and the guy sitting next to him thought he was having a heart attack, but he just said, "Listen, hold the stick forward," and he looks at me and has me lean down, and he looks out the back window and sees a stick sticking into the it's called the aileron, or elevate.
It's an elevator. It's on the wings.
The elevator. So a stick is stuck in the elevator, aileron, and he realizes that he just has to get us level to the ground so that we can fly at a certain height.
Did you crash into the water? Or?
No. He actually called his wife because she's the pilot, the airport controller at this region, and says, "Listen, I'm not sure if we're going to make it. Got 3 people on board, and we'll see what happens. We're going to stay at 1,000 feet altitude and just fly."
And what happened?
And he turned to us and said, "Guys, like, just enjoy the ride. We're gonna, if we go down, we're gonna go down quick, or we'll."
Don't pray to your maker.
And for me, no. At that point, I was like, should I videotape this whole thing, or should I just sit there and ponder life? So I videotaped the whole thing, and he just basically flew straight to a town called Kaktovik, Alaska, and made banked into the landing and cut the engines, and we floated down, and he landed. And he got out.
That wasn't a crash.
It's called a crash. Like, it's called a crash landing.
No, that's
based
not
on,
a crash.
No. Based on his terminology or airport terminology,
I
that's
was
a crash
thinking
landing.
that you landed in, you hit an iceberg and landed to the
You
water.
landed at an airport, yeah.
I ended up landing at an airport, but they do call it a crash landing according to this guy. And he goes, you guys do not know how lucky you are.
Yeah.
And he takes the stick out, gets back in the plane, and goes picks up his next group.
Wow.
So
we want people to give us a call at 609-800-1003. Go to our chat room, hamiltonradio.net. This is OnFire Show. We'll be right back. Give us a call.
That's a good start.
Baby, won't you walk with me? Come on, pretty baby, won't you talk with me? Come on, pretty baby, give me one more chance. Try to save our romance, slow down. Baby, now you're moving way too fast. You gotta give me little loving, ow, if you want our love to last. Walk you home, baby, after school. Carry your books home, too. But now you got a girlfriend down the street. Baby, what you trying to do? You better slow down. Baby, now you're moving way too fast. You gotta give me little loving, if you want our love to last.
Hey, welcome back to On Fire. You're here with the crew, and we're having a great conversation. We talked about Ebola and not who gets Ebola, who don't get Ebola. Who is Neil was in a plane crash, but really wasn't in a plane crash.
Come on, I was definitely.
You were not. Neil was not.
He landed at an airport.
He landed at an airport.
And now we went from a
plane crash.
Right.
Oh my God!
To a 3-point landing at an airport. So I'm having a hard time
That's
with
like
the
one
terminology.
of them stories you told when you were in elementary school.
Right.
Guess what? I touched the well.
What if you can get Walt Howdy on the phone now and have him verify that's a plane crash?
Wow.
It's an aeronautical term
was
that's shared
crash.
between
So-
bush
And-
pilots.
and you sound like a politician.
No, all right, so I did show these guys a picture of
We saw the picture of the stick.
the
We
stick
saw a stick in
the
the
wing.
wing.
What
Sticking away.
he was in a very serious situation, all
Yeah,
joking
yeah.
beside.
No,
there was
I know.
literally a branch stuck in the aileron, which
aileron.
is on the wing, which gives you gets the elevation for the aircraft, and it was stuck. He could not get elevation to get the plane up high enough,
couldn't
so
have-
it was very, very
one of those
sticky situation.
Movies where you can
Right.
open the door and walk out on a wing and pull the stick off and come back in.
I wish.
I've seen that and done in the movies.
Yeah.
Well, there again, there are the movies,
There's the
Hollywood's
movies.
non-reality shows.
No, they got it from somewhere. Somebody had to do it.
Right, they would have tied like
yeah, they got it
a
from the
rope
cradle
around your
around your
waist
mind.
while you were going out.
Yeah. But one of the things is that it's we all watch a lot of talk shows. We watch the conservative, independent, liberal talk shows, and I want to talk about who are your favorite talk show hosts on the radio. I mean, we all listen to radio. I mean, whether we listen to Howard Stern, Glenn Beck, or Mark Levin, and whoever. We're going to start off with Joe Sian. Joe, who is your favorite? I want to know who's your favorite talk show host.
Tom Woods.
Tom Woods. Tom Woods.
Tom Woods. Tom Woods is he's a Harvard and Columbia educated historian. He's a big Ron Paul supporter. He was a former research fellow at the Mises Institute and a New York Times best-selling author. And he does Tom Woods. He does a podcast every day for a half hour. Usually has one guest on and takes like a deep dive into a liberty-oriented topic. He works on the network that is owned by Peter Schiff, who's another one that I really
Nice.
Peter Schiff is very good. I like Peter Schiff.
And Schiff is very, he's terrific. He's really insightful. So I like the two of them. And then I listen to another podcast every week. It's called Econ Talk, out of a guy named Russ Roberts out of the Hoover Institution in Stanford. And he gets on, again, it's like a 1-hour show. He has one guest, or it might have two if they happen to be like partners in a company like down in Silicon Valley. And they take really good deep dives into issues from the economy, venture capitalism, what's going on in tech, and they venture off into other things like economics and education. So I don't listen to much over real radio anymore. I'm listening to a lot of podcasts on this thing.
iPhone.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, podcasts are awesome. I was listening to Rand Paul speeches, Ron Paul speeches, Tom Woods speeches, Peter Schiff, Lou Rockwell.
Rockwell's terrific.
Tom DiLorenzo, another economist. Then you get into old school Lysander, like just speeches or writings of old people like Lysander Spooner, and just people that would reread speeches of men in the past that understood free market economics. I mean, that was cool. But I was a big fan of Howard Stern.
Howard Stern.
Yeah, I grew up Howard Stern, loved Howard Stern. And then, of course,
where is he at now?
He's at Sirius now. I haven't listened to him
that's
in
not
a couple years.
doing so well.
I don't know. I mean,
wasn't he on Dancing with the Stars?
Yeah. I was never a Stern fan, but I remember when he went over to Sirius, and then like some of these stations, like his station in Philly was YSP, and they brought in like a lot of Stern clones. They were really bad. I said, well, you could really see.
Well, you never knew what it was going to come out of his mouth, if it was or what the person he was interviewing was going to say, because he definitely asked the pointed question that you're like, I would never answer that question.
And the thing that made it exciting is when he was on commercial radio, he was always on the verge of getting thrown off, and then Mel Karmazin was always going down to the FCC to defend him. I think by going on to satellite, he became a little bit irrelevant because you could say anything you want there. It's like, okay, well, it's a private network, nobody cares.
What station was he on? A television station. He was on a television station for a while.
he did have like a talk
Channel
show.
9.
Yeah. But anyways, he was on.
He would have all those. He had a bunch of women kissing on each other. I mean, that was one of the
He
shots.
would have all those things. Yeah.
All that crazy stuff, and a little midget. I can't think of his name. He did porn too.
I forgot the guy's name.
Black midget.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
I don't remember any midgets. There was Robin Givens. There's Stuttering John.
I mean, I like Dennis and Judy on 101.5, which is a New Jersey-based radio station. I think they're very open to the idea of freedom and liberty, and kind of always express the points of view of like, government, leave us alone. We could take care of ourselves. I mean, you don't have the right to tell us what to do. And I always enjoy listening to their show. And you can catch that.
Plus, Dennis is funny.
And he's just
he'll crack you up.
Yeah, he makes just humor of everything, and that's why I love humor in life, man.
Oh yeah.
So,
how about you, Bill?
Well, it's hard for me to have a favorite because I don't have like a favorite color, a favorite song, a favorite group, or a favorite food. I like a lot of things for a lot of different reasons. But since the topic is your favorite, I have a hard time bringing it down to just one. I'm going to do a little local thing to Jim Gerhardt on 101.5 here in Trenton.
Yes.
Jim he's strictly New Jersey, but he's intelligent, he's articulate, he's well versed in what's going on, and he has just a good common sense approach to things, which I like.
He knows who I am.
And in terms of a more national point of view, I'm going to probably have to say Mark Levin, although there are a lot of other ones I've listened to and I like and enjoy. And honestly, I like those that have an opposite opinion of mine, from on a lot of topics. I mean, just more liberal bent, because I don't think any one ideology, if you will, has the corner on the market on all the answers. So it's good to have, as Fox News would say, a fair and balanced approach to things. So I take in CNN and other, I take the BBC, the different news outlets, just to get a different feel for things. So if I had to say, who I listened to, I met Mark Levin, real super individual. And I don't say that I use him because I have met him. I've listened to him for a long time. I like what he's a very intelligent man. I like that he goes with the Constitution. Let's get right to what does the Constitution say. And when it gets out of bounds or we go beyond that, he calls it out. He calls it for what it is.
One of my favorites, and I guess been favorites for about 6 years now, is probably Glenn Beck. And then
cries too much.
No.
I mean, literally tears, cries.
He's one of the funniest. Him and Stu. What is it? This is the other guy. It's Glenn Beck, and then there's Stu, and there's the other guy. I can't think of his name right now. But these guys, I mean, it's just so funny humor. I mean, from 9 to 12. It's like that's one of those in the mornings, like you don't feel like going to work. You're getting ready for work. You don't.
I gotta work, man.
Yeah,
I gotta be at work. I can't listen to Glenn Beck at that time.
It's so much. It's exciting, and he keeps it very fresh and exciting. And I love the whole personality, his whole persona. And I met him at least twice, 2 or 3 times. And one of the things is like when he calls our governor a fat bastard. No, and it's a segment on it. Is you can check it on YouTube where he's there after the election, and after the presidential election, when Romney loses, and then we have Obama with our president. Who's our president right now?
Barack
Obama. And they're walking at the
hard to say his name.
Hard to say. And
he does not preside over me, for sure.
Yes. And one of the funniest things I've ever heard when they're at the at the boardwalk, and the governor and Obama are next to each other, and before the governor was fat at that time,
right?
And they have what is that? And they have Obama next to each other, and what is that? I can't think of that. They have the cartoon.
Mutt and Jeff, you're saying?
One is the tomato, and the other one is asparagus.
Oh.
And yeah, I can't think of it. It's one of those
VeggieTales.
VeggieTales, yeah.
VeggieTales.
VeggieTales.
Really?
And
go to VeggieTales on this show.
And they compare Obama.
We're going to a new low here.
they compared Obama and Christie as the VeggieTales, the asparagus, and then they have the big fat tomato.
Yeah.
And Glenn Becker says, that fat bastard, because he lost the election. And they're
that's a fallacy that warming of Obama and Christie cost Romney the election. That's just political garbage. They didn't like that Christie did warm up to him.
Yeah.
And he said, "Look, I'm in need here. Part of my state has been destroyed." And Obama said, "I'll help you," and did.
The question becomes, what strings are attached to it when they do that? I mean, that's the hardest part for people to understand. When the federal is giving them money, it doesn't just come with free. Yeah. It always comes with strings attached. So it's interesting to see what's happening.
So he was a rhino and a fat bastard.
So
fat rhino.
But speaking of podcasts, there's also a friend of mine down in Virginia has a wellness podcast called Tiago Wellness. It's TIOGA Wellness, and he's a runner. I mean, he's probably run over 1 million miles at this point in his life.
Can we get our fat bastard governor to do that?
I don't know, but he loves explaining the triathlon aspect, how to train for a triathlon. Yeah. Because I think people these days are starting to realize that their health's important and getting into these.
Christie realized that, right?
Mud rucker. What's the these events now, these challenges that you can go through.
Christie went through a challenge.
He did?
Yeah, he lost what? He went to the operation, lost 50.
He went to the operation,
and he lost, 400 pounds?
400
he had bariatric surgery, didn't he?
He lost about 400 pounds?
No.
Yes, he lost about 400 pounds.
Stop. I mean, if you're going to talk, at least let's talk fast. Listen, he lost weight.
How much weight?
Good.
How much weight?
Who knows? I mean, I was within arm's length of him at one point at a function, and he's a big. He was at that time was a very big man.
Chris Christie, I met him before.
But he's like an egg. A really large fat egg.
Well, I mean, I had the pleasure.
But in terms of his political skill, ability, and what have you, I think is more important to whatever shape he may be.
No, the question becomes now. It's not what he looks like. It's what he's doing as a governor, guys. I feel like he
closed down a bridge.
Oh, forget about close down a bridge. It's really what he doesn't know his role as governor. I mean, he can really enforce 10th Amendment rights for New Jersey. Put his foot down and say federal government has only a limited role.
Progressives don't do that.
He doesn't believe in any of that.
He doesn't believe in it.
Well, I mean,
he's a progressive.
He basically said
I don't know. He's a
dangerous libertarian trend.
Yeah,
he doesn't like people who like liberty. He's a statist.
Yeah, I mean he's a
fat statist.
Fat bastard.
Fat bastard statist, egg-shaped.
Yeah.
I mean, we need a governor that stands up to states' rights.
Can you imagine him going to the White House? They would have to.
He'd fit in with the rest of them at this point.
The guy?
He what?
He'd fit in with the rest of them at this
point.
point.
How he's going to fit in?
Fit in. I'm not talking.
He can't fit in the door.
No, fit in. He's going to act just like all the other politicians. He'll play the game. He'll do crony capitalism.
Yeah.
It's going to be the same thing.
Well, he's not going to be president.
Well, he made his reputation, standing up to the teachers' union. Okay, stands up to the teachers. Then he goes around the back to Steve Sweeney and gets in good with the Ironworkers Union because he needs Sweeney to screw the teachers' union to make money for the Ironworkers Union so they could build the Revel Casino so they could continue building the Xanadu up there. So he's lambasting the unions on one hand, and he's giving our money away to the unions on the other side of that. And you can talk to Seth Grossman down in Atlantic City because he's got the whole story. Because when Christie was down there pitching the Revel, he was down there. Grossman was saying they're stealing from us, and he almost got his head handed to him by the Ironworkers Union.
My feeling is, look, you got your Democrats that are taking from your left hand to give to the people that believe in left-hand issues. Then you got the Republicans in the right hand dealing with the right-hand issues. Mm-hmm. Government itself should deal with nothing. It's to keep your freedom intact, period.
Give us a call, 609-800-1003. Also one of my it's Jim Gerhardt in the morning. I've called Jim Gerhardt's show, and he said, and one of the things is, hi, this is Darrell Brooks. And I said, this smart guy, Darrell Brooks was on. And he allowed me, he gave me at least 5 minutes of conversation on the show. And most talk show hosts.
I heard you one time with talking to Jim on the radio.
You heard me?
Yeah.
What was that about the immigration?
I don't remember the topic. It's been a few years ago, but I remember you. I remember you were talking.
Yeah,
about
I was talking to Jim Gerhardt, and after that he said, "Wow, you got some smart callers." I said, I felt so proud. He gave me at least 5 minutes.
You must have got him. He got you on a good day, apparently.
Smart person, Darryl.
You know, but he
Maybe
gave,
he had to take a whiz or something like that.
But he gave me 5 minutes, and it was about the immigration. How New York City, the council was going to give illegal immigrants, all of them, the right to vote in New York City. That would have destroyed the whole political structure of both Democrat and Republican.
Well, we were just talking about, he'll just fit in with all the rest of the political,
Jim Gerhardt?
No, Christie. And unfortunately, what we have here, we're just picking the best of the worst.
Yeah.
I mean, there's really people that really, really want to, and I mean not just one here or one there that happens to be in either the Congress or the Senate right now, but I mean as a whole, there's not much down there. For all their talk and for all the other junk they went up in
it's just hot air.
D.C.
Hot
They're
air,
just talking.
That says New Jersey.
They're not forget New Jersey. The point is the larger problem is our dysfunction, and you hate to keep saying this word in D.C. and it's not going to get any better.
No.
I was reading an article today where actually it looks fairly good for the Republicans to control both houses, both the Senate and the House, and that actually could be a boon for President Obama. And they say, well, how can that be? Well, if we look at it back in Clinton in the 90s, the very same thing happened.
He made a deal with Newt Gingrich.
Well, you're going to find a little bit of a moderation in because he's in his last 2 years. He wants to make he doesn't want to be just a has-been kind of 2 years of a president, lame duck as it were. And he's got an opportunity to get things done. I think two things you're going to see happen is immigration and the tax code. I think the two big pressing.
I guarantee you, Bill, they will not deal with immigration.
Well, I'm going to say because it's a very, very, very tough. Now, what's going to? I think is going to happen. Well, I think that if you get Harry Reid's will obviously be out of there. Yeah. So you're going to be able to have Mitch McConnell or whoever will be the Senate president to bring these kinds of things to the floor because they're not going to get to the floor with Harry Reid on there right now.
I mean,
so you're going to get these tough
criminals.
Yeah,
I just think they're all criminals down there at this point.
And guess who
they violate
send them all home, even the good ones. Let's start over.
They violate the law every day.
But yet, you and I, the rule of law is, we're held, our feet is nailed to the floor.
No,
the rule of law.
No, the rule of man.
The rule of legislation.
The rule of man or legislation. I mean, rule of man, rule of legislation. Rule of law, is what the founders tried to implement. I mean, the rule of law is, as they've called it, nature's law. Mm-hmm. It's in the Declaration of Independence. First paragraph states about the law of nature and how nature gives you this freedom. Mm-hmm. And they wanted that to be what the country was about. I mean, that's why they didn't call this a national country. This is there's a federal land, and it's not a national land.
Yeah.
And there's a difference between federal and national for people that are listening. Federal is just a limited space that has a limited role. National is basically like a kingdom, and we don't have that. We don't have kings. We don't have queens. Okay, we don't have lords and ladies.
So Hillary is not the queen.
No.
She wants to be.
She's just an individual woman who is trying to make good and do the right thing that she thinks is right. But unfortunately, what she thinks is right might not be the right thing for all of us.
She's a hawk.
Well,
name calling. When you come down to serious conversation, you got to look at what what they've done, what they say, and what they've done. Clearly, Hillary Clinton, to me, is her, politically speaking, I think her time is past her. I mean, there's going to be a lot of people that are, in the Democratic Party that are going to trot her out there, and this is her time. And I don't see her time coming at all. Now it depends upon who the Republicans get out there. Well, we'll keep going while Darryl chokes.
Right. Well, just to jump in here, Bill.
I got a bowl.
Come on. Please don't say that. We'll be
No
running out of
bullets,
here.
please.
We couldn't be that lucky.
Yeah. No, like I say, I watch it from a different perspective now, politics, because I was so into it. My friends, my family thought I was nuts because I was just so into what's going on, the importance of these elections, the importance of them making decisions for us. But you come to a point in life when you say, look, no one makes decisions for you except yourself, and that's what life should be. I mean, enjoy it. Government's actions are incorrect, breaking the law at this point, and I mean, people need to stand up and say no more.
No more.
But I've been saying that for some time. But how do you get that? You know, that is
you got to do it through a lawsuit at this point.
I think
see if the judicial system is going to protect people's rights under the Constitution. So.
And also, you know, it's. I think we to the point where also we need a political revolution that take place in our country today.
We don't have the.
I think, but if
the moral will or the.
No, an irate minority is what it takes.
Yeah.
That's it. Or irate minority. I mean, there's.
Well, you can't be too small because they'll just call you a fringe wing nut group, kind of like the Tea Party. Look how they demonize the Tea Party. It's a bunch of wing nuts.
I think for me as a professional, like as a CPA, I've learned that you got to act professional, be professional, speak logically, and try to do it in a procedure that follows the correct procedure put down for us. In the sense of that traffic ticket, guys, that I beat. Okay, it was just interesting because, like I said, I submitted papers, which is, of course, to respond to a complaint. So a ticket, guys, who are listening, is a complaint. That's all it is. Just like, hey, I disagree with you, and like, let's figure it out. So, if we didn't have this judicial system, and of course, if we go back in time, judicial systems came into play when the Constitution got created. Prior to it, it would be common law way to handle things. So if Bill and I had a disagreement, I don't just go to court. I call Bill up and say, Bill, like, you have something on your tree is on my. You want to cut down a tree, but that tree is on my property, so you have no rights to cut that tree down.
Yeah.
And he could be like, well, I think it's on my property, and we could hopefully amicably work it out. And at the point when the amicable part doesn't happen, then of course you want a third party to step in and intervene and kind of mediate the issue.
Why not just shoot it out?
Nah, that was the old days. OK Corral.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we
want
we want peace. I mean, you have the right to defend yourself, but if I don't have a gun, then I don't think you should have a gun.
Well, we want everybody to go to our chat room at hamiltonradio.net, and we want also people to give us a call at 609-800-1003. You know, one of the topics I want to talk about is Bonnie Coleman Watson and Dr. Eck, and how Dr. Eck has been trying to get Bonnie Coleman Watson to have a debate. And one of the things is that I've been talking to people, well, why should Bonnie Watson debate Dr. Eck when Bonnie Watson already has it? She's in the lead. And it bothers me about our political politics and how we think of our politicians and how our politicians think of us. And it just bothers me when a person who's been in office, a state assemblyman, will not, and she's running a Congress, Rush Holt's seat, and she will not debate Dr. Eck. Give us a call, 609-800-1003. We'll be right back with On Fire.
Listen, boy, I don't want to see you let a good thing slip away. You know I don't like watching anybody make the same mistakes I made. She's a real nice girl and she's always there for you. But a nice girl wouldn't tell you what you should do. Oh, listen, boy, I'm sure that you think you got it all under control. You don't want somebody telling you the way to stay in someone's soul. You're a big boy now and you'll never let her go. But that's just the kind of thing she ought to know. Tell her about it. Tell her everything you feel. Give her every reason to accept that you're for real. Tell her about it. Tell her all your crazy dreams. Let her know you need her. Let her know how much she means. Listen, boy, it's not automatically a certain guarantee. To ensure yourself, you've got to provide communication constantly. When you love someone, you always way to reassure. Tell her about it, let her know how much you care. When she can't be with you, tell her you wish you were there. Tell her about it every day before you leave. Pay her some attention, give her something to believe. 'Cause now and then she'll get to worrying, just because you have been spoken for so long. And though you may not have done anything, will that be a consolation when she's gone? Listen, boy, it's good information from a man who's made mistakes. Just a word or two that she gets from you could be the difference that it makes. She's a trusting soul, she's put her trust in you. But a girl like that won't tell you what you should do. Tell her about it, tell her everything you feel. Give her every reason to accept that you're for real. Tell her about it, tell her all your crazy dreams. Let her know you need her, let her know how much you mean. Tell her about it, tell her how you feel right now. Just tell her about it. The girl don't want to wait too long. You got to tell her about it. Tell her now and you won't go wrong. You got to tell her about it before it gets too late. You got to tell her about it. You know the girl don't want to wait. You got to tell her about it. You got to tell her about it. Tell her about it.
Hi, you're back with On Fire. This is Darryl McHale Brooks, and you're here with.
Bill Argist.
Josiano.
Neil Schloss.
Now we're going to talk about this whole thing with Bonnie Watson Coleman. She and Dr. Eck, both are running for Congress with OC to Rush Holtz. I think that's the 12th district.
Now we should clarify for those that are not, our listeners that are not here in New Jersey or North America for that matter, who these people are and what
Bonnie Watson is a Democrat, a union person, a Democrat for life.
In Trenton,
New Jersey. She's a state assemblyman. And she's running. She won the nomination, Democratic nomination, to run for against Dr. Eck, who is the
A
Republican.
medical, and she's a medical doctor.
A beautiful lady.
Very nice. She gives her time to care for poor people.
Yeah.
At a place in New Jersey called the Zarephath.
Zarephath. Yeah.
Zarephath
Free clinic.
Free Clinic. And she has
That sounds like
spoken.
that Ebola thing.
Well, she's spoken down in D.C., explaining the cost structure that she has and how she's been able to keep the cost down to pennies on the dollar for medical care. And, of course, she's comparing it to Medicare costs because, of course, Medicare costs are higher. And she knows that her methodology would be a good method for the government to follow because then, of course, it would bring Medicare costs down. So she's a brilliant woman.
She's a brilliant woman. She's a decent person. She had a very good plan that she brought before the New Jersey legislature as a plan to replace Obamacare, whereby if the taxpayers would pay the out of control malpractice insurance for the doctors, they would then be obligated to turn in a requisite of community service, and that would include everything up to heart surgeons and big price doctors as well as your practical care. And the third player to this is Rush Holt. Rush Holt is the incumbent. He's had the seat for about 10 years or so.
Rocket scientist.
He's a physicist. He's a Princeton physicist who ran, but is an extremely liberal Democrat in a very liberal district, and he's retiring from that seat. And so we have the Bonnie Watson Coleman, who's the Democrat, against the pretty fairly much libertarian type of Ron Paul Republican and
Right.
Dr. Alida Eck.
That's right.
Yeah. And what's the issue here, Darryl?
The issue is I just think that it's so wrong that in this day and age you expect to win an election, and you never know what's going to happen, but you expect to win an election and you don't have to debate the other side.
It becomes strategy.
That's right.
It just bothers me that you're not giving the people a chance to choose and really be an open debate.
Well, they have a chance to choose. They choose
they
poorly.
But it's to a point where you expect at least one debate because that's the whole kind of the political atmosphere and what politicians do.
No.
And that just bothers me that you're not willing to debate a Republican candidate. It's two women running. And Bonnie Watson Coleman, she's I've seen her, I know her, I know her family. It's like dealing with there's someone considered like the who can I say like the Black Kennedys in the Mercer County area, and it just bothers me that that there's nothing wrong with having a debate.
Well, Daryl, you know Al Davis, right?
Yes.
Owner of the Oakland Raiders. What was his motto? Just win, baby. Just win, baby.
Okay.
That's all that matters. If you don't even have to show up, okay, I ran for Congress.
Mm-hmm.
I ran against Chris Smith.
Mm-hmm.
Chris Smith barely even came back to the district. He has a one-bedroom studio apartment in Hamilton, which he keeps as his official address. He lives in suburban, in Fairfield County. He didn't even come back to the district. At least Bonnie Watson Coleman lives here. He didn't even come back to the district except for once.
Yeah.
Because he just wins, and he's won for 36 straight years now.
A long time, yeah.
But it just bothers me that you have and I believe when you have politicians who are afraid to debate, that tells you about their political knowledge and their skills, and that disturbs me.
It tells you about the voters' political
Yeah.
knowledge.
Yeah, but it just disturbs me is that you're not willing to show off your skills,
Right.
and you're just going off because you are a Democrat.
You're a functionary of the system.
Yes, yeah, you're a Democrat and you're a liberal. And she supports everything from gay marriage. She supports Obamacare. She supports everything the unions support her. But it just bothers me that you're not willing. When I ran, when I ran for Senate and Congress, I wanted to have a debate.
Well,
I wanted to be a part of the whole the political system and really challenge.
Because you're an activist, I'm an activist, and we're engaged with issues.
Uh-huh.
And the Democrats and the Republicans aren't engaged with issues. They're engaged with power.
Yeah.
All they need is power, is to move, move the graft into the hands of the people who pull the strings for them. Now, what do we had an idea? We talked about that over coffee today, Daryl.
Mm-hmm.
We'd like to bring Dr. Eck in here if they won't have a debate.
Mm-hmm.
Let Dr. Eck state her positions, and we will have someone stand in for Bonnie Watson Coleman.
How about this?
I will go in there if you want me to do it, and I will read her website. I will familiarize with her, and I will argue her points against Dr. Eck. And Dr. Eck can then, so we can at least have. And if Bonnie Watson Coleman does not like the way that I represented her point of view, well, then she can take it out on me, or she could have a debate.
Yeah, she come here on the show, or just have a blank chair.
But I also think it'd be interesting to see Joe speak in a Democratic voice.
Yeah, Democratic voice.
I
And you
think
gotta be a
I
woman.
think it'd be
Power
so.
to the people.
I think
But
it'd
you
be
gotta
hard
be
for
a
Joe.
woman.
Joe, you think that'd be pretty hard to?
I don't know.
Don't
I just
like
went
a
to my
Democrat?
wife's health care. I have to check to see if I can get that done in 2 weeks and what the cost will be.
Wow.
Speak like a Democrat.
And walk like an Egyptian.
Right. That's don't.
But it just bothers me, and that in this day and age, and to want to go down to Congress and represent your district in New Jersey, that you're not willing to show off your political knowledge and your skills and your savviness.
I mean, it's unfortunately a game. Like that's what you're taught when you get into this, become a political activist or involved in these political games. It's a game.
Even Cory Booker debated Lonergan.
Well, he had to. It was actually a fairly close, election, and I think there's enough latent dissatisfaction across the state with what's going on in the country, blaming a lot of it on the president and his policies, that Booker had to take an active role in getting out there and making and and Lonigan's a fierce warrior.
Yeah, but they said Bell and Booker aren't going to debate, right? Or
Well,
will that happen?
I don't think they will. Because I think Booker, now that he's an incumbent, really has it sewed up again. So why would you? You never know what you're going to. You could be like Joe Biden, go out there and say anything and blow your campaign up. So
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Bell. I mean, I don't know much about Bell. I know he wants to audit the Fed and get back to the gold standard. I mean, that's a good idea.
It's a good idea, but one that's
constitutionally based,
never going to
so
happen.
it kind of will get the dollar to stabilize as opposed to devalue. Actually, jokingly, at Temple this weekend, you had to call out a few things about what you're thinking about your finances. So I jokingly stood up and said, I worry about the devaluation of the dollar, and I got a few laughs. I thought it was a pretty funny comment. My wife didn't get it. She doesn't understand what a devaluation of a dollar means. So,
Wow.
And she understands it from an international perspective.
Yeah.
Like, of course, comparing it to the euro, that the dollar devalues against another currency. I keep telling my wife, it's like when you go buy eggs and the price of an egg goes up because, people just say it's the rising prices.
Did anybody say anything about Bitcoin when the?
No, it's just it was a quick comment, and then we moved on. So, but
once again, when you have politicians not willing to debate each other, that tells you something about their
the character,
character, their political savviness, how smart they are, and Dr. Eck is a very highly intelligent woman.
Yeah, actually, I held the debate for the Republicans back in the day. It was 3 candidates running. What was it? Corsi.
Okay, yeah.
Corsi,
yeah.
Allen, Bateman,
Yes.
and Steve. I forgot the guy's name from Princeton.
I know you're talking about. Yeah, it was a Wall Street guy or something.
Yeah, it was a Wall Street guy. And
that's the senator. Was it the senatorial debate?
Scott Supprell.
Yeah.
Scott Supprell.
Yes. And actually, it was awesome. I mean, it was my first time ever actually running a debate. We had the red card, the green card, and the yellow card to tell them like their time was up. But it was professional. Scott ended up winning.
And Scott Supprell almost beat Rush Holtz.
Right.
And Scott and what saved Rush Holtz is my damn city of Trenton, New Jersey.
Yeah.
Yeah. Trenton always they come through.
For Holt.
Yeah, they came through for Holt.
For a Democrat.
For a Democrat. And Supprell lost because of Trenton, New Jersey. Right. Now, if we take Trenton off the map, and then the Republicans will have it.
Yeah.
But that's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen. Sometimes I don't even believe that anybody actually votes. They just have the machines loaded up already.
Yeah.
And just put them on the truck and say, okay, here it goes.
I mean, it's sad that less than 10% of the people are coming out to vote these days.
But that's what, and even today, I was at Rutgers University today, and I met 2 young students who will be writing for OnFire News Network. Matter of fact, they interviewed me, and they want to probably give you guys a call, to ask you about the network and the radio show. And, we had a long talk. We talked for 2 hours. And they work with the Gleaner newspaper. They write for the Gleaner. And we had a discussion about what's happening around the world, what's happening around the country, and the state of New Jersey, and do they know about the Constitution? Do they know anything about education, jobs, health care? Do they about the poverty? About politics? Do you know who your congressmen and senators is? And a lot of them, they were, both of them were, I love them because they listen. They actually listen to me.
Right.
But the fact is, you still have a younger generation out there that actually know nothing what's happening around their own city or the state or this government, United States government. And I talked about how it bothered me that, younger generation, you're always either on Facebook or YouTube and on Instagrams. You're watching Dancing with the Stars. You're watching Atlanta Housewives. I mean, crazy stuff. Crazy stuff. You're playing the craziest video games. What's the crazy video game people playing? The Grand Theft Auto.
No, well, for my kids, Minecraft. Okay. Minecraft is they live in Minecraft.
Well, a lot of these kids are playing Grand Theft Auto. They're watching the craziest television shows. Our parents are watching the crazy. Our adults are watching the craziest stuff on television, while the politics of the city and the state and this federal government are doing things behind the scenes, destroying their lives, destroying their whole policy. And they have a conversation. They was like, "Well, Darryl, we're not getting taught this stuff in high school. We're not getting taught this stuff in college."
Yeah, I mean, I've met a lot of young people in the Ron Paul movement that took it upon themselves to research the people like Tom Woods and get to know what he speaks about. And go to Mises.org, MISES.org, and start studying Austrian economic theory.
Mhm.
And I mean, at these events I'd go to, they would start talking about things that when I was 20, I mean, of course, I was young CPA, just going to tons of different seminars that just taught us, I guess, what they want you to learn and do. And once you take it upon yourself to look at a bigger picture and see a perspective of different thinking, it might wake you up to say, wow, like I should be aware of different methods, different ideas, and kind of weigh it against each other and see if the answer that I've been taught was the right answer. So,
like that.
I mean, to me, it's you're right. Younger kids, if they're being taught and hear someone else's voice that says something different, take it upon themselves to research it and see if they're right.
And that's what
There's got to be an
I think question
intellectual
these people.
curiosity there to kind of look behind, the issue of the day or what you're being told to do or what you're being taught. There's always something, a back channel behind that you really incumbent upon each individual to go, as you say, Neil, to go out and research for yourself, find out for yourself, go back to source documents, early documents, and learn about the history of things, the way it's supposed to be, and where we're at today. Just as for instance, so there's much to be found out there, especially with the advent of the internet. You can really self-educate yourself in so many different ways.
Go ahead, Joe. You
Here
got
it
that.
goes.
Joe has that smile on his face.
I got this. And this is on the news today. Jimmy Kimmel asks American, who is Joe Biden? People do not know who Joe Biden is. Says the answer is really, they said that I think he's governor of something. It's a terrorist group. He's a Republican who's going to be president. I mean, we have a president, for better or for worse, is a rock star president for a lot of reasons. And so people, I think it was fashionable to vote for him and all this. But they don't even know who the guy with the white hair is, who sits there behind him at the same
Santa Claus.
Yeah, it's Santa Claus.
Oh, yeah, Santa Claus. And one of the things that I told these young kids, I said they were like, if they were sophomores, they were two sophomore, and I said I really want you to go out there with your cameras and talk to people and ask them what do they believe in, and ask them, do you know what a Democrat is? Do you know what a Republican is? Do you know what a Libertarian Party? The Tea Party. Any kind of politics. You know, Ron Paul's. I said, do you ask them? Do they know any of these politicians?
Oh, and actually, if you're listening, if you know a Democrat that wants to be on the show, we would love to have someone with that thinking philosophy, so that again, this is about a conversation that needs to be had amongst people that think differently, so that we can all put our views out and hopefully the logic makes sense to one person's view to say, you know what, that's probably better than the other people's views. And we should head towards that path. I mean, to me, it's freedom. To me, that's the document we call our Constitution deals with that idea very simply. I mean, and I always say to people, First Amendment rights, very simple. Think first, speak second, write it down third, hang out and talk like this, and then question your government.
Well, and this is not an opportunity for us to bring somebody of opposite opinion and beat them about the head and face, to try to get them to see our way. This is really a place where they can come, they can stand up for and say what they believe, and certainly we would do the same, but not in any kind of a confrontative manner.
No.
Not at all.
We'll leave the guns in the car.
We'll put the tarp over the waterboard.
You know who I would like to? You know whose show I would like to go on?
Who's?
The lady on MSNBC. I can't think. It's two of them. Melissa Perry something, and what was the other woman name? She comes on at night
I know who you're talking
with the just a low haircut and
She's a lesbian.
Okay.
Right?
She's a lesbian.
But
Yes.
that's fine.
What is her name? And they seem like a problem because if you don't think like them, something's
Rachel
wrong.
Maddow?
Rachel Maddox.
Rachel Maddow.
Oh my God.
Maddow.
Mad Owl.
Mad Cow.
Mad Cow. She has Mad Cow.
I like her.
Huh?
I do like her. I mean, I've watched her a few times. She sometimes says stuff.
Is she a lesbian? How do you know?
Well, I don't know
Because
if
how
she
do you know
does,
she's
but
a
I think
lesbian?
that's what they say in the news. That it's been reported that she has a girlfriend.
She has a girlfriend?
Well, certainly
Yeah.
we can certainly trust
fine.
the news for
Yeah, yeah.
accuracy, huh?
But how
And
do
if
you know
she is,
she's
it doesn't matter.
Well, she looks like a lesbian.
It's a moot
But
point
what does a
whether she is
lesbian
or
look
isn't.
like?
I don't know.
I mean, it's just a
Had you asked her
description
out
to
and
help
she-
someone identify someone else, I guess.
Huh? Well, she has that haircut of a lesbian haircut.
Ah,
Sure.
that's
And,
good
all,
haircut.
and what
Butch,
cut
that
would
Butch-
that be?
A butch.
She has a
But
butch
that's-
haircut.
You mean like military butch?
No, like the butch at the at the cigar lounge. oh,
Yeah.
we just cigar lounge. We just had. We went to that type of butch haircut. You know.
But she's not a lesbian.
She's not a lesbian.
But anyway,
No.
Rachel has some
I
good
thought she
points
was
to
a
make once in a
lesbian.
She's got
while.
two husbands. They both died of cancer.
Oh wow! I thought she was a lesbian.
No.
She looks like a lesbian.
Now, don't you feel bad?
Oh my! I
I
thought
hope she's not listening to the show
I would-
tonight.
I would have-
my
Let's
God.
not
I
judge,
Yeah.
I'd have
okay?
a
We
good
just said
conversation
this is
with
not going to be
Huh?
confrontative.
Yeah.
And all of a
Rachel
sudden you're
Maddox.
labeling people.
I would like to get on her. Rachel Maddox.
That would be awesome.
Bring her here, and the other Melissa Perry.
They're very smart women.
But
I mean,
they're one-sided.
She makes like
Well,
$umpteen million a year. She
Yeah, I would like to, honestly, I would like to get on the show, say I'm a liberal, and then switch up real heavy on her. But
I mean, I like Judge Napolitano. He was great.
yeah.
He was great.
I met him.
Judge is
I
good.
haven't met him in a while, so
I
Judge
was
was fun.
watching
well,
him
he
last
lost
night.
a lot of weight too.
He looked,
did.
He
He
looks
did.
good, but he looks like he'd been sick. He
I
lost so
think
much
he had a
weight.
health issue, but I could be wrong. But he,
It's hard to get used to seeing him
look,
so
as
thin.
long as people are healthy,
As long
that's
as
all
he's
that
healthy,
matters,
it's all that
man.
Oh yeah,
That's
that's
right.
good. And one of the things I want to say that we watched, me and the young kids at Rutgers, the two students, we talked about slavery, and we talked about
Slavery?
politics, and they knew nothing. And it's this thing called
Like historical slavery,
Historical
like
slavery.
that Jews were slaves, blacks were slaves.
Yeah. Everybody was slaves.
Now we're
Everybody's
now
slaves.
now
Well, we talked
now
about the American-
joking-
no,
now
we talked
jokingly
about-
we're all slaves
Yeah,
to the government.
we talked about American slavery, and we talked about it's this documentary on PBS what people should really watch. It's called Slavery by Another Name, and it's on PBS, and it talks about the peonage laws after slavery.
The what?
What loss?
Peonage.
Oh, peonage.
Peonage?
Yeah, thank you.
laws.
How do you spell that?
Thank you for clarifying that and saying that
They were like
succinctly.
vagrancy laws.
That woke me up.
Oh, vagrancy laws.
Yeah, and what happened was after and they didn't know this, and they told me we didn't learn this stuff in high school, and what happened was after slavery, and all over the South, from all the way from Virginia to Florida to Texas to Arkansas, they locked up at least 300,000 black men, women, children from all the way to the age of 12 years old. If you were walking down the street, well, we're going to lock you up because you're just hanging out. And what they did was because the South lost the war, they had no way of paying people to work the fields.
Right.
So what happened was they came out with these vagrancy laws, and next thing you know, they would start locking up all these black people in the South and turned them into prisoners. And by then, they turned them prisoners. The state gave them to corporations. We can say the corporate, to work the trains, to work that, you can get a prisoner.
Well,
and he works
if you
the
think
community.
about it, when slavery is abolished, now you've got all these people that were working, on plantations or slaves to a slave owner. Now they're free. A lot of them did elect to stay. They were allowed to own, their own property and work and what have you. Because you think of it, but people, the mass exodus of people that did leave and said we want our freedom, and now they're just kind of, they went walkabout, okay, and they probably were vagrants at some. But when you think about this, you say, yeah, but no kidding. Really? Well,
Yeah,
they
but-
just walked off a slavery plantation. Where are they going to go? They're not going to go to the unemployment office, ask for unemployment insurance and health benefits.
And get 40 acres and a mule.
Yeah, so they're going to be kind of wandering about and seeing where they can land.
And it was one of the things where they locked up close to 300,000 people over a period of 80 years, and the fact that it ended right around World War One. Right around World War I, when they allowed African Americans to join the war, and then you had the governor, not the governor, but the president at the time under Woodrow Wilson. Who was the president before Woodrow Wilson? Teddy Roosevelt. Teddy Roosevelt. Around that time, they kind of like changed those laws, and Roosevelt.
Actually, Taft was.
Yeah, Taft was.
Roosevelt was responsible for
Yeah.
getting Wilson elected.
Yeah. And so, and after what's the guy name? After Woodrow Wilson, then it was
Warren Harding.
Warren Harding, and then around the whole Roosevelt, the president, really they changed those laws because they made it illegal. I mean, my fault after during World War II, and then we had African Americans who could join the war. But this happened for 80 years.
Right.
They locked up over 300,000 African Americans from kids. Men and women and female and children,
Right,
14 to 15.
but that also happens in other cultures and
Well,
other. Granted, trust me, I don't want to lock up. I mean, this drug war we've had since Reagan's time. I mean, we're locking up people that should not be locked up.
Right.
But if you look at this documentary, check it out on PBS. It's called Slavery by Another Name. It shows you how they started it and how they're doing it now. Because the federal government plays a role, and corporations plays a role in the federal prison, and people are making money off federal prisoners.
Careful,
well,
Joe.
You got a couple of things.
He's pointing his cigar at you.
I know. Get that cigar to my. Sometimes a cigar just is a cigar, but that's. But anyway, vagrancy laws. First of all, are strange things. They're basically laws against doing nothing, and they're ripe for ill enforcement because they give the police a lot of latitude. And I know that Jay Edgar and John Paff and a few of the guys from the New Jersey Libertarian Party went down to Camden a few years ago
I remember
to protest,
that. Yeah.
and they tried to get themselves arrested for vagrancy, but said you guys are just protesters. You're actually doing something, so you're not vagrants yet. But the other part of us, think about this. It works. It works both ways. Yeah, it was horrible that we exploited. Arrested people for no good reason. On the other hand, now we have like a huge prison population, and it's against the law now to put prisoners to work. On the other hand, they spend all this time behind bars doing nothing, which is sort of like incarcerated vagrants, and just learning about how to be criminals while they're in there. So that in itself is a different kind of crime, that we were locking people up and then not teaching them anything except how to be criminals. And maybe it would be better if they were on some kind of work release.
Yeah, but I think there's a point where all of us need to understand the law, like truly understand the law. And I'm doing experiments in the sense where I'm a CPA and I'm a huge student of the law. I mean, I try to study it. I wouldn't say daily, but I love to learn different aspects of the law procedurally and so forth, and you come to these conclusions of a method. And I've read tons of different methods from tax strategies, because of course as a CPA we deal with taxes, and then there's the methods used which eventually doesn't work. I mean, look at Wesley Snipes. He tried a strategy of a tax law that, of course, he ended up in jail. So people will bring that up to me like, well, what about Wesley Snipes? He tried it and lost. And I said, well, as honest as I can say, his method was wrong. I mean, he tried a method that the tax
He's out now, right?
He's out now. Yeah, he's going to act in the next big movie, so he'll make enough money.
He was a part of the Dependables.
It'll be interesting to see if he goes back and
Mm-hmm.
continues his ways with the IRS after his experience. But again, like the methods, if it ends up not working in your favor, it just means that you went down the wrong path and you just took the wrong step.
What was Wesley Snipes' method?
He claimed something with inside the code. Like he used an argument within the code. And I mean, there's this general philosophy: if you fight in the code, you're going to lose in the code. It's just that natural because the code can always be redone. I mean, you're familiar with the inversions that are going on, corporate inversions.
They're
Going out of leaving the country.
Leaving the country, and it's a method that's being used. And of course, what does the government do? They're changing the code now to turn it so that you
We're
can't
all
do
slaves.
it. So but for me, like I say, understanding the law is with this traffic court ticket was I'm trying a method of just submitting papers, proper papers, with legally done writing, and then now going into court. And of course, for me, it was a traffic ticket or a parking ticket for I think it was $45. So to fight a $45 ticket could be you're doing it for principal purposes only. Because I mean, to spend $45 at this age is like buying your kid a ticket to the movies. I mean,
$45.
Holy cow! Where do you
Holy
go see
cow! Where
movies
do you
at?
go movies at?
For family.
Okay, for
family.
family.
For family.
But you know,
For family.
yeah, you say you're definitely right, and it shows about how government, how they are. When you think you're trying to, you're following the law, and you want to go one way, then the government comes after you and says, okay, no, we're going to change everything around.
Yeah, but Hillsdale College actually just sent me an article. It's like these articles that are important for information just show up at my doorstep. And when I say that, I mean an email will pop up with information that kind of helps me down the next path. So Hillsdale College sent me an article written by a Columbia law professor who discusses administrative courts versus judicial courts, which is Article 3 courts versus administrative courts, which Judge Scalia, of course, asked that question about tax courts. What is a tax court? Is it an Article 1 court? Is it an Article 3 court? Now, of course, to the people listening, they don't even know what Article 1 or Article 3 is. And if you do, it's awesome, because Article 1 is the first chapter of the Constitution, right? Article 1 was the creation of the Senate and the House. Article 3 is the creation of the judicial system. So the goal was to have separation of powers between these different entities.
Yeah.
Because once the powers are consolidated into one group, then, of course, you're now under the rule of man, which is what's happening. So this article explained administrative courts, the history of it, why it is unconstitutional, and it doesn't go into how do you defeat it. It's more of an understanding of the history and how the founders tried to, with the laws they put in the Constitution, protect us from administrative courts. But with this very slippery slope, once you go down the path of safety and security of man, that if you're driving too fast, that you should get a ticket and be fined for, quote, breaking the law.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're breaking just the rule of man and not rule of law.
Yeah, but when it comes down to it, if you don't pay that ticket, you go get a warrant for your arrest and you go to jail.
Well, unless you fight it properly.
Well, you
That's
can
the
definitely.
question. There's methods that you could try and experiment with. When I say experiment, I say it in a way that eventually I'm going to have the right method that I can just explain to someone.
And what I want to say is when I talk to these young kids about, and I talked about that more people should understand the law. Understand, at least have a constitution. Everybody should at least have one constitution, a booklet in their house. Understand that, understand what rights they have. Because a lot of people, they don't understand the rights they have. That's how government gets away. That's how the local police.
Well, it's not just the rights that they have. It's understanding what limitations government has.
Yes.
Right.
Because basically, the Constitution really wasn't there to enumerate our rights. It was there to limit the rights of government.
Yeah.
Everything else was either delegated back to the states or to the individuals.
Yeah. And a lot of people, they just, they're not even taught that in high school or in college.
Yeah, but I ask a very simple question all the time, and I can ask you now. Do I have rights over you?
Nope.
Do you have rights over me?
No, I don't.
Okay, so an individual doesn't have rights over each other. How does the creation of the two individuals called the entity being the United States of America have rights over us?
I have rights over my children.
They don't have rights over anyone. So that's
son
a simple
tried
question.
that.
I mean, I can ask Bill, do you have rights over me?
Certainly not.
So
do I have rights over you?
No.
So how does a government entity have rights over any of us?
Well, the way I look at this is if we don't have it's there to help. Not everyone is going to be a solid citizen. We've got to have some kind of, let's call it a rule of societal living. So, otherwise we can just turn this into Wild Wild West where we can just go out and start shooting each other, robbing, what have you. So there's got to be some way to contain the negative level of society, which we're always going to have.
Have you ever marched in a marching band or did any lessons on marching? Like, it's the idea of
I've been to the Million Man
Otherwise,
March.
we're going to have chaos.
No. I mean, I say, like, if you follow the idea of marching, eventually everyone falls in line to a proper procedure.
Right.
I mean, the person driving 150 miles down the road eventually has to realize, like, he's either going to kill himself,
or endanger other motorists.
And he'll make that choice to get in line and slow down a little bit, make sure that he's driving safer. Or unfortunately, he'll harm someone, and then at that point, the proper procedure for America is he goes to court. He has a day in court with a jury of his peers deciding the fate of should he be incarcerated, should he be set free. And, I mean, that's just the proper procedure.
So, Neil, that's good. So, do we have rights over our children?
Do we have rights over our children? I mean, I have 2 boys, and, I mean, I say to them all the time, listen, I can't control every action that you have. You have rights over yourself. As a father, I don't want to see any harm come to you. But I don't want to bubble you and put you in this bubble that I say don't do this and don't do that. Don't do this.
So
because I want them to get wings so that in the
how
future.
old are your children?
10 and 8.
So if this 10-year-old says, you know, I'm out. I'll be right back. 10 o'clock at night. I'll see you when I see you. As we call it in the inner city.
I mean, would it scare me them going out into the world thinking they might not come back? Probably every day of their life.
So if
he
says, Dad, I'm out. I'm 10 years old. I'm 10 years old. I want to go for a walk.
No,
I'll
you're
be
not,
back.
mister.
What would you do? What would he say?
What would I do? I would be nervous.
You let him go?
Would I let him go? I wouldn't. But I know
No,
my wife would put her foot down and say, no, absolutely not. But that's
you would let your son go?
Me personally, I believe he'll do fine. What's the worst thing that can happen to him? I mean, in a sense, in the percentage-wise, 99.9% of the times he will come back.
Yeah, I mean he'll come back. But I have my son Najee. He was I think he was 6 years old, and I remember we were living in Sicklerville, and I said, Naj, are you going to clean up after yourself? You know, because I'm your father. He looks at me and says, he didn't say nothing. He just kept looking at me. So I said, okay, I got up, put my food in the garbage, and he's just sitting there with his plate, you know, just mess all around. I looking at him and said, Naj, are you going to, you know, clean up after yourself, you know, clean the house, clean up after yourself? He just kept looking at me, right? So I get up, go in the bedroom, and fix up the bedroom, and he's sitting there watching TV, got the plate in his hand. I said, Naj, you're not just going to stand there, right? Sit there and look at me and not clean up. I said, okay. So I said, all right. So, and I walked around, walked outside, got the mail, came back. He said, you're not going to do anything. He just looked at me and just, you know, pay no mind. So I said, so you're now the leader of the household. You do what you want to do, right? And he looked at me, smiled, and just sat there. So I just said, okay. So I went back in the kitchen, got up, went in the kitchen, and had something to drink, came out, grabbed him off the sofa. He started crying, threw him in the bed, and he had a car bed. So I threw him through the roof of his car bed. Dragged him out of his car bed, turned on the shower, and threw him in the shower.
To wake him up?
In his clothes. You know, he had his clothes on. I threw him in the shower.
To wake him up?
And he's like, okay, Dad, I understand. I said, no, you're the dad. You do what you want to do. And after that, he realized that, you know, it was the head of the household. And he kind of understood things then.
Yeah, look, I get your point when it comes to your kids not listening to something that you want to have done, and I get that. But philosophically, I am so philosophical on the idea of freedom that, I mean, trust me, for my kids to walk to school, that's what I walked to school. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was great. I mean, I crossed, looked both ways. I crossed. There were safety guards, and I think that's lost now. Yeah.
You're definitely right. It is definitely lost. This is OnFire News, OnFire Show, and we'd like to thank everybody for listening. But give us a call and check out our chat room, HamiltonRadio.net. Give us a call, 609-800-1003. If PJ, you listen, how you doing? Hope you're feeling better, or if you're sick or whatever you're doing, stay safe. This is OnFire Show. We'll be right back. back with On Fire. This is Darryl McKell Brooks.
And Bill Argist.
And Josiana.
And Neil Schloss.
And PJ Vince is...
he had a long day today.
Yes, he had a long day. He's relaxing, enjoying himself.
Had some truck troubles, as it were. Power steering pump went out. He's had a long day, so he got home very late, so he couldn't make it here tonight. So we'll see him next week.
Yes. So the topic now is, I think, are we still on Rachel Maddox being gay? You checked your...
I just went online because I don't watch Rachel Maddow, but and just so I looked on and yeah, she's gay. She's
gay?
A lesbian, so
she's a lesbian.
Well, same difference.
Okay, and the girl, I'm sorry, I didn't know she was. I got to apologize to her at the cigar lounge.
Oh well,
as I say, I just thought you were a lesbian.
Yeah, no, she's not.
She's not a lesbian.
She said she thought you were gay.
Oh my God. Oh wow. Hey, I don't, but you like I say, you never know. And and I just feel bad. I want to apologize. I'm sure I'm not going to say it. Walk up to her and say, "Yeah, I thought you were a lesbian. I give you a hug. I thought you were one of the guys."
You're just digging yourself deeper and deeper.
Yeah. No, and I got no, and I don't have any problem with people that are gay or lesbian.
But it is a political discussion that's happened now.
That's right. That's definitely in the Supreme Court.
The different states coming through with allowing gay marriage.
22 states.
22 states this time.
Yeah.
So.
Well, the Supreme Court just basically said we're not going to, decide on that. So essentially, giving power back, control over to the states.
It's not a federal issue.
No, it's not a federal issue.
State
it's not even a state issue.
Well,
I mean, it's a personal thing. That if you love someone else and you want to spend the rest of your life with them, great. If you want to also jokingly...
But there are also social mores that come into play. It's not just a simple, if you love somebody that's, of the same sex, then more power to you. There is a societal moral decline that has led to this. This has always been around, so this is not something, a 20th or 19th century issue. Homosexuals have been around for thousands of years, homosexuality.
Yeah.
So it's just a question of what society will allow in terms of going outside the norm. Now they say, well, what's normal? And I say, well, it's just a setting on your dryer, because it seems to be that way any longer. What's normal mean? But marriage has always been between a man and a woman. Mm-hmm. Okay, but now it's become a social and political hot potato.
And just to jump in here, marriage in itself is a licensing thing.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So it's an approval by the state for you to have
That's a sectarian point of view, yes.
Marriage is a license. That's why you get a marriage license. So it's just the approval of the state, and they say you're married.
But that's not the only point.
Contracting
that's
yourself.
only part of it.
You're
that's
half
right.
there. Marriage is a civil institution. Before there were churches, before there was anything else, men and women got together, and for some reason they decided they would find family units. They would create these things, and there would be bonds that we would call marriage, whether they were, I'm sure gay people got together too and had bonds. The difference between a man, no, I'm just saying, but the difference between the heterosexual union and a homosexual union is that the heterosexual union resulted in children. And children needed, despite which, letting your kids run free and wild, the fact is that women needed protection and children needed protection, and society formed these things. Now, we go back about 140 years in this country or so. There was no marriage licensing. And why did they license it? Well, after the Civil War, a number of blacks were getting together with a number of whites, and people weren't happy about that. So they started having marriage licensing. Once they started doing that in the southern states, people in the northern states said, you know what? We like that marriage licensing because it gives us a way to make money. Now we could license people to marriage, and that put the government in control of marriage. So should the government control who you sleep with, who you live with? No. Have heterosexual people been together since the beginning of time? Yes. Have gay people been together? Yes. But there is a unique thing in the heterosexual marriage, which is the production of children and the need to protect them, and that's why societies, not governments, created an institution that we know as marriage.
Wow.
Well, yeah, but even without marriage, you can have a union of a man and a woman and still get a baby. So marriage in itself is, and I'm not an expert in the history of marriage and marriage licensing, but again, at this point in a society where freedom should be the most important thing, whatever people do behind their doors,
Right.
and
But
in
freedom
their homes,
and responsibility. Because
Yeah.
that's the problem with today's society. It's freedom and responsibility. Say, okay, I have freedom, and we're going to get together, and you're going to have a baby, and guess what? That's too bad. I have other things because I'm free, so I'm going to go over here and leave you with the baby, and I'm not going to take any responsibility for that.
And so, one of the things is, always when I watch the documentaries of the 70s, they talk about the freedom and responsibility. Now you're free now, and you can do everything you want to do. You can go out and use drugs. You can go out and do whatever you want to do, and there's a responsibility.
Right. We know who the responsible person is. It's
Yeah.
the government. It's the
Yeah.
taxpayer to take care of your freedom after you make a mess.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I could create a lot of babies. Let the taxpayers take care of them. I can ruin my life with drugs and let the taxpayer to pay for my therapy.
And one of the things that is also talked about. I was watching this television show, and the whole perspective on gay marriage and Neil, you talk about the natural law of things, right?
right.
Now, the question is gay, lesbian, is it natural? Meaning, if you stuck two men on an island, two women on an island, on another island, or stick 100 men and 100 women on one island,
Would nature
create?
I mean,
Let me put it this way. Let me answer your question this way. Daryl,
that's-
if you and I were on an island together, we're not spooning, okay? You with me on that?
No. But that's the question. Is the natural? Is it natural or not?
Well, whether it's natural or not.
And
What's natural?
Well, there's a big the naturalist people of this world and the environmentalists. They have a word called sustainability.
Mhm.
So if you had an island and you had 50 heterosexual men and 50 heterosexual women on that island, and you came back in 100 years, there'd probably be people on that island. If you had island number 2, which had 100 all male and 100 all female, that would not be sustainable.
Yes.
That society would not sustain itself because there would be no more, reproduction. So it's not sustainable. Now, sustainable is like a really good thing when it comes to energy and all that. When it comes to human population, it's not, because I think really the left is anti-human and anti-life. That's why they have all these anti-life positions. They want to exterminate the human race so that the planet could go on and thrive. Gaia, the nature goddess, we're the enemy. We're the devil.
Okay.
but the main point of this is
Oh, God.
but the main point of this discussion is government. Is it government's role to make decisions of those for us in society?
Yeah.
No.
What?
Should government
No.
have that role to define it, to
And as-
defend it, to do whatever? Or is it just whatever you are locally is whatever it is?
I think we should privatize marriage. We should get the government, and one of the things that the government uses marriage for is for the distribution of welfare state benefits, and that's become an easy way to do it, is by marriage. So now, if you're saying, okay, there's these benefits out there in the welfare state and whatever, and it has to be linked by marriage, why am I not? And that's a good argument. Why am I excluded from these benefits? But if government gets out of legalizing marriage, because I've said government should never have legalized marriage to begin with, because there's a lot of things that we do that aren't legalized. Like you eat every day, but it's not legalized. Nobody said there's a law that says, you can eat.
Don't give them ideas, all right? Don't give the government
Yeah,
more
next thing
ideas.
you know-
I prefer them to stay out of this.
They've already started that. I mean, with Bloomberg and the
Bloomberg.
soda.
and the soda thing. It's like,
Progressive
come on, stop.
Do you have a consumption license for that hot dog?
Progressive politicians trying to put progressive ways. We've had, like I said, you look at Woodrow Wilson, what he did. And with the Prohibition Act and the Volstead Act, Prohibition. I mean, they said, well, you can't drink alcohol. Wow. So that's that progressive way of thinking, saying, listen, I know better, so you listen to me. You listen to my ways, and if you don't listen to government, or you go to jail. And that's what Woodrow Wilson, we talked about. If you go look on, especially Ken
Well, that's
Barnes,
a fear that they can instill in
Prohibition.
you.
And they did that. And that's and like I said, you look at the Volstead Act. That was progressive politics I know government knows best.
Well, it's elites know best.
Yeah, elites know
best, and because people can't be trusted to do the
Yeah,
right
right
things for
thing.
themselves,
Yeah.
we'll have to use the force of government in order, and it's basically treating people like children.
Yeah, League of Nations. I mean, wow. Woodrow Wilson.
Hey, if I could jump back to one thing over this weekend.
Mhm.
So I go to Temple and
I keep
walk.
thinking you're going down to North Philly to Temple University.
No, to Temple. I mean, and people that know me, I'm not very religious, but my kids are starting religious school. They're going to Temple. So I went to the Temple.
Temple Shalom.
And they went. They had security guards asking for IDs.
Mhm. At the Temple?
At the Temple. And, of course, on the envelope it says, please bring your ID to show that you can come in.
We should do that at Shiloh Baptist
And,
Church.
I mean, for me, that's a freedom fighter that I've talked about. I walked up, and they're like, can I see your ID? I said, absolutely not. And they looked at me like, why not? So the guy takes the envelope from me and shows me that it's written on the front of the envelope.
Mhm.
So I just said to him, does that supersede the Constitution, my right to just keep my private information private? And of course,
I know they hate you.
I just at this
It's going
point,
to be one of those guys.
Yeah.
it's got to be one of those guys. But I was trying to be respectful, like, hey, like, I understand you're trying to do something, but, and again, it surprises me that the Jewish community is having the security of police officers protect them from going into the temple. Because if you go back to the Enabling Act of 1933, I mean, that was government instituting the powers of the police force to take away the guns and try to categorize you into you're a Jew, you're not a Jew. And for now them to introduce this to our society, I'm like, it seems strange that history is repeating itself.
Well, why? Okay, so I have the other issue. Why are the police protecting your temple? Why is the taxpayers of your community paying for that, and why are they not hiring private security guards?
And that's a great.
Was it regular?
I don't know the answers to that.
Was that what temple was it?
It was in Freehold. Like we had to go
So
to
you had
Freehold High School.
the Freehold Police Department.
Freehold Police Department.
Wow.
And it just, I mean, it surprised me, but
Somebody's
I
getting
think
paid.
it's just.
Did they let you in?
Yeah, they did. The guy realized, like, I'm like, it's just crazy from.
Will they be there?
Let's let this loon in there. Just get him off our.
Will they be there this
With a
week?
shaved head
What's
and a
that?
beard.
Well, they'll be there this week.
Will they be there this week? I mean, I think it's more common to have your safety protected.
I want to go.
Because that's
Can
what.
you take me? Just leave me by myself. Let me walk in. Try going in.
You can.
Yeah.
I mean, it's again. I
want to
mean,
have one of my
freedom is-
"Don't Tread on Me" T-shirts.
Yeah, you're from the Lost Tribe of Israel.
Yeah. I want my "Don't Tread on Me" Tea Party T-shirt to walk in.
They will.
Yeah, knock me upside my head, arrest me.
Nah, they shouldn't.
And I
right?
tell them, well, do you know the Constitution? They'll look at me, okay, call him in.
Well, I mean, like I said, I just it's stuff like that just gets
Yeah,
under
I
my
know,
skin
I
at this
understand
point in time. That people are just giving up their rights. And again, it's one of the best things to have is the understanding of the law that your rights are protected by the law.
Yeah, you know. And,
So don't give them up.
Mhm.
So
And it's definitely like that when you see, when you go to some other churches, you know, big churches. I've been in, especially Eddie Long's church in Atlanta. He has about 7,000, more than maybe 10,000 members at his church. And you walk in the church and you feel like you're at a they have about 20 to 30 police officers there. And it's not like you go.
is it a Baptist church or?
Yeah, it's Baptist church. And you would go there, and you're like, you want to go to church. You bring your Bible in. You got your church clothes, and you don't feel like you're going to a church. And because they have the police there, it just makes it. You just don't get that feeling that you're going into a holy place.
And why do they have the police there?
That bothers me. Why
They're
do you
inside the church wearing sidearms?
Yeah.
Wow.
And outside.
I mean, it's like getting searched everywhere you go now,
Yeah.
right? I mean, it's just becoming the norm.
Well,
You go to the parks,
you
you
look
get
at
searched.
where
You go to
society
concerts, you
as a
get
whole. I
searched.
mean, not just in America, but everywhere. It just seems that it's everything is escalating. Everybody's very tense. Everything is very there's crazies out there. I'm not getting into an ISIS conversation, but just use them. I mean, they want to come over and kill us. You know,
Well,
I mean, not that
I mean,
they're going to come over to your synagogue or his Baptist church and want to kill you.
Cut your head, no, they cut
Yeah,
your
but
head
you know
off.
what? I went to the Billy Joel concert. Security was like, "I need to search you." I said, "I don't get it anymore. I don't get this whole searching
not
thing,
gonna
this
get a,
fear." And of course, her answer was like, "There's crazy people out there." And
At a Billy Joel
I looked at her and I said,
concert?
"Yeah, you're the one that's crazy. Like, I don't get where people are giving up their freedom for this safety concept, right?" Ben Franklin, didn't he say something about it?
He must have.
He didn't like
he
Billy
was-
Those
Joel.
who would give
He
up,
didn't like
those who would
Billy
give
Joel?
up necessary freedom for temporary security deserve neither.
Right.
On the other hand, at a Billy Joel concert, I have less of a problem with it because that's a private arena, a private event. You can, you have the right to serve. I wouldn't visit your house if you said, okay, I'm going to pat you down. But you have the right to say, I'm going to pat you down before you walk into my house. So with a private business.
Well,
now,
but again, going back to being in the society, the culture that we're in, somebody would like to be able to go to a Billy Joel concert if there were no security, go in there and create a big ruckus. I don't mean
At
just
a Billy,
holler.
no Billy Joel concerts.
I mean, just to be where there's a mass of people that are gathering to be able to, give their 15
Right.
seconds of fame.
but
or
with this
minutes, whatever it is.
in a way, this brings us back to where we started with the news of the day, with what was going on, and we have these things and people searching us and patting us down and all that because they're being protected.
Mhm.
Yet, with thousands of people whose job is only to protect one man in this whole country,
They can't
we
pro-
just see they
can't
protect. They can't protect the
Yes,
one
the
guy.
Secret-
So we're supposed to.
the
We're
Secret
supposed to
Service-
think they're protecting us.
Yeah, the
How are you
Secret
going to
Service
protect
director-
307 million people if you can't protect one?
And the city, you find out that last week the Secret Service director is gone.
Right, and then I saw last
Yes.
week.
Well, Tom Clancy, I believe his name, a Villanova guy.
Right. The writer? Tom Clancy?
No, it's I'm not sure if it's Tom, but his last name is Clancy. He was head of security for Comcast headquarters in Philadelphia. Everybody raves about him, saying that he's a phenomenal choice. I've never personally ever heard of the man, but and that's neither good nor bad. But they, from what all outlets that I'm hearing, that they say this was a very good choice. So we shall see.
But still, one of the things that talks about the culture of the Secret Service, and one of the things that they talk about is what happened in what was it, Brazil, when the Secret
Below, is
Service,
it Colombia? Yeah, they were all like drunk and with
and
prostitutes.
buying prostitutes.
While they're supposed to be protecting the lives.
Yeah, and when you
That
can
was in Colombia.
in Colombia, right?
Yeah.
So when a person can jump over the gate, it's supposed to be the most protected house in the world. Jump over the gate, over the gate.
Yeah, I would imagine that nobody could get into Bill Gates' house.
Yes, or you can jump over the gate and go inside the White House and go. He was on one of the rooms.
He was in the green room.
the
Then he
green
go
room.
into the east room, or
I
he went
mean,
to the east
wow.
room to the green room.
Right.
Wow.
And those,
The thing that gets me is he went through the front
Door.
door.
Right. Well,
Can you imagine
last
that? There was
week-
no one there.
Last week, somebody pretending to be a U.S. congressman walked backstage at an Obama event. Yeah, I'm Congressman Joe. Okay. Oh, sure. He said he was a congressman.
But it's just so disturbing that someone could do something just like that and get and just it just bothers me that our Secret Service like I think PJ talked about, shoot the guy. Why? I mean, this guy could have had a bomb and blew up the White House. And
So
then
shoot him if he's unarmed, I say.
Well, listen to the point where it's listen. That's the president of the United States. I don't want shoot him in the arm,
Well,
but shoot him in the leg, shoot him in the foot, shoot
that's
him in the arm.
the
But
one
these-
thing. Yeah, he might be. You don't know if he's unarmed.
Yeah, you
first
don't
of
know
all.
that.
And secondly, you don't know if he's wearing a bomb.
And so the idea is that then the whole conspiracy theories come through is like, oh well, how can this guy just go up into the White House and blow it up? And where was the Secret Service protecting him? And so he's the most powerful powerful person. He's the president of the United States. And to allow someone just to walk up and run inside the State House and go to the East Room and to the green room, I mean, that's a serious problem with me. I have a serious problem with that, and we should definitely, they should have shot the guy. I mean, the guy, does he deserve to be shot? If you do something as crazy as go up in the White House, jump over the gate, you deserve to get your behind kicked and be shot in the leg. I'm sorry. It just bothers me that you can do something like that. That's crazy. That's absolutely crazy.
I don't know. I have mixed feelings about shooting a guy, but the
Not at
whole
all.
thing to me
Not
is
even,
just
not even a
listen, when
blink
it
of an
comes
eye.
down to
Take him down.
when
Put
it comes down to the
incapacitate
president of the
him, don't kill
United
him.
States, if I'm the president of the United States,
Right.
and you got people jumping over the gate trying to get the house,
right.
trying
But
to
you know
get
what?
at me, shoot
Here in
them.
New Jersey, if somebody breaks into your house, you can't shoot them.
Yeah.
You have to.
But
You have to continue to retreat until he. So I don't think the president's any more important than any other individual. But the whole thing bothers me that they talk about how we're trying to be. They're there to protect us. The Supreme Court has already said the police have no responsibility to protect us. They can't protect the president. So the whole idea that they are protecting us with everything is
find
absurd.
They couldn't find no weapons of mass destruction.
But by law, of course, they have the procedures in place for successionary planning. If the president dies, vice president takes over,
Or
Speaker of
another
the House
person,
moves
yeah,
up.
and then another
I mean,
person jumps over the gate and,
Right.
and
So
you know.
you think that Joe Biden's behind all this?
Yes.
Yeah.
He's letting him in.
Yeah. No. So, but again, I mean, this is interesting times we're all living in. I think discussions like this are needed. I mean, we hope we can keep these conversations going forward with different ideas and make people think.
Hopefully next week we'll have Dr. Eck on.
Right.
I will reach out to her and see if I can
And
get her
I
on.
have reached out to her, and hopefully that she can come on and we can have a great discussion.
Come on, yeah. Let me know if we're going to do that because I will prep.
He'll shower.
You gotta change your
I will
voice.
shower
You'll talk like a Democrat?
and I will prep. I will
like
prep
a
the
woman?
positions of. I don't know. We'll have to think about
You gotta
that.
talk like a woman.
I think it might be demeaning for Dr. Eck. Well, Dr. Eck, I don't know about
Those
that.
whiskers are going to be a dead giveaway, my friend.
I don't know. It might be.
You might have to shave.
I might be Rachel Maddow's lover.
Oh my God. Is Rachel Maddox? Did you find out what was Rachel Maddox's lover name?
Susan McCula.
Susan McCula, and she got turned out in college, right?
Yeah, she had this grand idea in college. So
A grand idea
yeah,
to what?
the lesbianism.
Lesbianism. Wow. In college.
It's a new ism.
Ism.
You know, in 15 years it might become one of those 3-letter diseases. You know, like
Yeah, you know,
OCD and restless leg
ism.
syndrome, RSL.
I want to. I wish we can have a little more time going into discussion, but it's 10:30
Our time
and
is gone.
as time is gone. I'd like to thank all our listeners for listening to the show, and we didn't get any callers today, but I'm sure you wanted to call and say something. But you know, sometimes you get nervous. But that's understandable. I'd like to thank everybody in the show. Any last parting words?
Just enjoy your week, and we'll speak to you next week.
Live free and prosper.
Have a great week, and we'll see you next Tuesday at 8:30.
Yeah, I'd like to thank all y'all for listening. This is Don with Del Brooks. Once again, you're on fire. And check out OnFire News Network, OnFireNN.com. OnFireNN.com. We got some great.
He's giving free things away.
Yes, we have great columns on there. We
Free
got.
stuff.
Yeah, check
Free
out
stuff.
it. We got the great stories that we have.